If you've been scrolling through endless firewall options, swapping tabs between cheapest on the market and feature-packed enterprise grade, and you're still not sure which one actually makes sense for your remote office, this review is here to clear that up. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent the last few weeks digging into the WatchGuard trade-up program, talking to a handful of IT managers who recently made the switch, and comparing real-world deployment notes. The goal is simple: help you decide whether the Firebox T125W with a 3-year total security suite is the sweet spot for your team, or if you're better off directing your budget elsewhere. First off, let's talk about the situation that pushes most small to mid-size businesses to consider a dedicated firewall. You have a handful of remote workers, a leased line that's supposed to be fast enough, and a growing list of SaaS tools you can't operate without. The default approach for many is to stick a cheap router plus VPN combo on the edge, but those devices quickly become bottlenecks when you start encrypting traffic, applying content filtering, and handling VoIP. That's where the Firebox T125W steps in. It promises a single box that can do deep packet inspection, threat detection, and still keep your internet pipe moving at gigabit speeds. What sets this model apart is not just the hardware specs. The 2.5 gigabits per second WAN port and 4 1 gigabit per second LAN ports are solid, but they are standard fare for firewalls in this price bracket. The real value comes from the 3-year total security suite that ships with it. That bundle includes application control, intrusion prevention, antivirus, web blocker, and even a cloud-based sandbox for zero-day threats. In practice, that means you can roll out policies that, for example, block peer-to-peer file sharing across the entire office without having to buy separate modules later. For a team of 20-30 users, that kind of Al-Anon licensing can shave a few $1,000s off the total cost of ownership. Now, who should actually buy this thing? If you're an IT manager who is responsible for a remote office that has a dedicated line of at least 500 megabits per second, and you need granular control over which apps get bandwidth, the T125W is a very pragmatic choice. It's also a good fit if you've already got older WatchGuard hardware and want to take advantage of the trade-up program. The process is essentially a credit towards the new unit, which can reduce the sticker price by a noticeable amount. Companies that run a mix of on-premise services, like an internal file server, and a handful of cloud apps will benefit from the built-in VPN concentrator, allowing users to connect securely without juggling third-party VPN clients. On the flip side, if your office is tiny, say, fewer than 10 users, or you're already running a unified threat management device from another vendor that includes similar services, the T125W could be overkill. The 3-year license locks you into WatchGuard's ecosystem, which is great for continuity, but might feel restrictive if you like to cherry-pick best-of-breed solutions. Also, the device does not have Wi-Fi built in. You'll still need a separate access point if you want wireless coverage. That's a small extra cost, but it's something to factor in if you're counting every line item. Let's walk through a concrete deployment scenario that illustrates both the strengths and the hidden trade-offs. Imagine a regional office of a construction firm with 25 staff, each needing access to heavy CAD files stored on a central server, plus constant communication through Microsoft Teams. They set up the Firebox T125W as the edge device, connect the 2.5 gigabits per second WAN port to their fiber line, and use the 4 1 GB GBE ports to segment traffic, one port for the server VLAN, one for the workstations, one for the guest Wi-Fi handled by a separate AP, and one for a VoIP phone system. With the total security suite, they create a policy that throttles large file transfers to off-peak hours, while allowing real-time collaboration tools to keep a low-latency footprint. Within a week, the IT admin reports a 30% reduction in bandwidth spikes, and the security dashboard shows 0 critical alerts. The sandbox has automatically quarantined a few suspicious macro-laden Excel files that would have otherwise infected a workstation. The practical benefit here is the ease of policy management. WatchGuard's Firewall OS offers a web-based console that most admins can navigate without a steep learning curve. You can drag and drop rules, set schedules, and get real-time logs that are readable rather than cryptic. That's a noticeable advantage over some enterprise firewalls that require CLI expertise. However, the same simplicity can be a weakness if you need highly granular, custom rule sets that go beyond the pre-configured policy templates. Advanced users sometimes find the wizard-driven approach limiting, and pushing the device into complex routing scenarios may require additional support tickets. Another point worth mentioning is the hardware's reliability. Over the 3-year license period, WatchGuard provides firmware updates that address emerging threats, and the device is designed for continuous operation. You won't need a nightly reboot just to apply patches. That said, the T125W doesn't have redundant power supplies, which larger models